All right, thank you very much for joining us on this morning on TVC. I'd like to welcome you, but we sincerely apologize for starting behind schedule. I am Mike Okwache, and I'm standing in for Uncle Yori Folari. He's not in right now. But the point there is, Nigerians are talking about so many things, especially what the president has done, what he's doing, what he's expected to do, and so on. And a lot of people are happy with the way that things are going because they feel that it's bringing some hope as to how things are going. But others are still skeptical, which is okay, which is good. As to, yes, we've seen this, past presidents have done one or two things before, especially when they take over office. But how will they be sustained? So today we'll be talking about the service chiefs. The service chiefs have been appointed by the president. The old ones have gone, and we have new ones. The sheriff in town right now, as to the various arms of the security. We have the new chief of defense. We have the new chief of army staff. We have a new chief of naval staff. We have the new chief of army staff, chief of air staff, as well as the national security advisor. What is the way forward now that they have all been selected or appointed by the president? Nigerians are hoping that the issues of insecurity will be history, and then everybody will go to sleep with their eyes closed. All right, I have with me in the studio to help make sense of all of this, the Director General, International Institute of Professional Security, Dr. Tony Ofoyetan. Tony, it's good to see you.
My pleasure.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Very good. Great.
Pleasure.
And then we also have, joining us virtually, we have Brigadier General Sani Kukasheka Usman, former Director of Army Public Relations and spokesman for the Nigerian Army. General, it's good to have you join us this morning. Okay, we understand he will join us as we get along, but certainly you know that on the program, we also have the time to speak to a lot of people who want to make contributions on the program. But Tony, let's start with you here. First of all, there was the issue of, recall that under former President Buhari, there was the issue of, okay, change service chiefs. He changed them after a while. We had some level of peace for some time, but then we had issues from Kaduna, we had issues in Zamfara, we had issues in Niger State at the time, we had issues in Benue and in Plateau and so on. Now we have fresh blood, fresh faces. Talk to me when you saw the names of these persons, you would have done background. Some of them you must have known them on one-on-one, as the case may be. What confidence do you have that this is a game changer so far?
Well, let me start by congratulating them, the four of them, that is starting from the NSA down to the 3 service chiefs, and even the CDI. I congratulate all of them, and even the acting Inspector General of Police. It's an awesome one. I also want to salute the dexterity of the president, his swift approach. It shows that he's prepared, let me put it like that, because if you look at antecedents from what we had previously, you see that it's not that fast. You see a lot of politics and bickering before appointment and all those stuff like that. But we saw a man that seems to know what he's doing. He knows what he wants. And I think before now, he already has a template of those people he wants to work with at the back of his heart. And so far, so well. In the security industry, I'm not disappointed, I must confess. I'm not disappointed. In actual fact, it will shock you that in the military, in the army alone, the young man that came is of the 38th course, or 37th course, or something like that, and those that are on ground are of the 36th course or so. So you are talking of most probably about almost, if not almost 100 major generals that are most likely going to go, as it is now.
And that is the question. You know, and that is the question, or that is even the concern sometimes, because all of those other generals are people who have been trained, who have experience, wealth of experience in their own respect.
Well, the government has a way of, they are always in reserve. And apart from that, government have a way of always getting back to them. It may not be in this core assignment. Nigeria is a very large country.
Yeah.
As we speak now, the president has more than 4,000 appointments to make. More than 4,000 appointments to make within a few days. You know, so for me, as far as I'm concerned, in as much as you look at, he believes that, look, I want to work with fresh blood. I want to work with younger people with, you know, that has better mental alertness and all those stuff like that. But I must not forget to say that the service chiefs that just left, they did better than the ones that were there for 5 years. Yes, unapologetically. They were there for about 1.5 years or thereabout, but they did far, far better than those that were there for 5 years. So in as much as we know that the security challenges are not as abated as we wanted and all those stuff like that, we should not throw away their achievements. We shouldn't throw away their achievements. That's just the truth.
One thing that Nigerians will not understand, you are in the security constituency, so you will get to know who is performing, who is not performing, how they're performing, body languages, you will know those. Nigerians may not have the opportunity, who are not in your constituency, wouldn't have any single idea. Theirs is, they want where there's no bomb explosion anywhere, there's no kidnap anywhere, there's no shooting anywhere, and so on. The moment you hear that, then they feel, oh, something is going on somewhere. But talk to us how challenging it is to rid the country of some of these things. Recall those days where we are able to travel from Maiduguri to Gombe, from Gombe to Enugu to Port Harcourt, whether it is by night or by day. Nobody was thinking there's something that's going to affect the security.
Let me say something. I think one area that I want to advise those that are, you know, the architect of our security architecture, to understand that there is no singular solution to security in any country in the world. There are multiple solutions. And what a good chief does, whether of Army, Navy, or Air Force, is to apply a measure of all the solutions. Emphasize some areas more, but apply the measure of all. Immediately you refuse to apply some of the solutions, that become the vulnerability that the threat will exploit. You understand? So if you ask me, we have avalanche of security problems and challenges, but they are not insurmountable. The ones that are caused domestically, they are easier to solve. But the problem, and I think I want to encourage them more, is to concentrate and look more at international infiltration into our security challenges. The Zamfara gold, the Kaduna gold, the Bono Bauchi Californium, you understand? Now the mineral resources that are being exploited by these countries illegally. Now the natural strategy is to raise local militias to be able to cause diversion, so that in the process of that, they will add that they are helping you. They will also bring pseudo assistance, which are defective and deceptive. They bring it to you, make you believe. But meanwhile, their concentration is how to exploit your mineral resources at near zero kobo. Now, if you as a service chief, you are not intelligent enough, there is big money there and cheap money there. Once you are bought in, you would have failed ab initio. But if you are able to stand your ground, what do? Let the government itself look at machinery to regulate all this. You see, I didn't emphasize much about local militias, local security challenges and the like, because as far as I'm concerned, it does not take the military 3 weeks to clear off all the bush and the forest. Once they know that this is what they want to do. But the major challenge will be the international angle to our security. They know how to raise local militias. They know how to fund and sponsor any group in whatever name, whether you call it Boko Haram, whether you call it ISWAP, whether you call it IPOB, whatever name you call it. Once there is a mineral resource or there are mineral resources in certain areas and they are interested in it, don't forget that we now have oil in the Chad Basin. And as we speak now, Niger Delta has not survived from those. So the government must understand the security challenges that are inherent in all these things, especially from greedy Western world Countries that are not interested in painful royalty and they want to get your mineral resource at maximum quantity and level. These are major challenges the new service chiefs should think about, not the little thing. And when you talk about piracy and all those stuff like that, sea robbery and the like, and some of us are talking about little boys, those are not the main thing. The main thing are the vessels. The maximum vessel that picks our crude here is about 2 million barrels. Now, how many of them have their capacity to load at that level? But you are talking of high players in the industry that have the financial capacity to bring in vessels
global syndicates
and take it out. And those are global syndicates. Thank you very much. That is where government should concentrate on the most. You are not talking of 10,000 liters, 2,000 liters and all those. No, those are, in short, those ones even come back to the economy. If they steal it, they use it to feed their wife and children, use it to set up business center for their family members in the country. But we are talking of the hundreds, millions of barrels in crude that goes out. That means that your major national wealth is going out. Those are the major things, I think, if you ask me, that government should exert real energy on. And it goes to the Niger Delta region. It goes right to the north, not as a whole. And when you are talking of all this, they should concentrate more on rural security now. Let the police do their job, yes, but rural security, because for me, I think that should be, Mr. President, major concentration and target. Okay. Rural security.
All right. Rural security. From what you have said, we recall that when the president announced that subsidy had gone, we saw how smuggling oil from Nigeria to neighboring countries ended almost immediately.
And they cried.
Some videos went viral saying that they were protesting that they couldn't have access to Nigerian oil anymore, which was cheaper and better for them and accessible. All right, we have our next guest with us here now, Brigadier General Sani Kuka Sheka Usman, former Director of Army Public Relations and spokesman for the Nigerian Army. General, good morning. It's good to have you join me right now.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. And first, I would like to apologize for the technical hitch that I couldn't join you much earlier. But the little I've had, I've been enjoying the conversation. Thank you.
Great. You're here now. That is what is important, and we're happy to have you. Now, we have new service chiefs, the new sheriffs in town in their various areas of operation. I know that you would have known some of them on one-on-one. A lot of them you would have worked with them over the years. When it comes to wiping out insecurity, Nigerians are concerned that, of course, this is not the first time we're changing service chiefs. This is not the first time we're bringing in fresh blood into the system, yet we have not been able to go back to the pre-2009 days where Nigerians can travel from anywhere, whether it's in the night or it's in the day or it's in the afternoon or whatever. We've still not been able to travel like that without having concerns of insecurity. Speak to us about what Nigerians should see going forward with the new security chiefs on board right now.
Thank you, Ben. And I know that there's high expectation, but I like what the last speaker was saying as regards to the security challenges, and what brought about their escalation up to the point. And there are several other factors that we have to look at when we are making expectation on the part of this security chief, simply because some of the security challenges that we have, they are rooted into issues of governance. And remember that the approach to most of the security challenges was more or less like kinetic rather than non-kinetic. That we perhaps the security forces, particularly the military, to the extent that, in fact, we are discussing that to what extent are we exploring and taking advantage of time-tested conflict resolution mechanism in the country before we think of bringing in security forces. Definitely, the new service chiefs, right from the Chief of Defense Staff up to the other service chiefs, including the Chief of Defense Intelligence, There are people that are well-trained, well-experienced. I've had the privilege of working directly or indirectly with almost all of them. So I've known them for the years they have been in the military. You can be rest assured that they are going to perform creditably well. And more so, again, their predecessors have done the bit they could, because in most instances, they are all part of the insurgency and terrorism was a new phenomenon in this country, because when you, 20, 25 years ago, nobody ever imagined a Nigerian could be a suicide bomber. And but it has become a reality. The seat of the federal capital was desecrated. When you look at the bombings of the UN building, the bombing at the police headquarters, the bombing at Mogadishu cantonment, Ewa Plaza, Nyanya bus terminal, and of course, Madala, the neighboring Niger state, and of course, the number of checkpoints and other attacks elsewhere, coverting territory. But within the space of 13 years, the security forces rose to that occasion. They performed marvelously well. That was unprecedented. That has never happened anywhere in the world, and it stands to be, challenged, because Colombia fought insurgency for 58 years. We have seen what happened in Iraq. We have seen what is even happening right now in Afghanistan. Without or with little external support, Nigeria was able to do it. So, large extent, yes, the solution to most Nigeria's problems are within, and we have to tell ourselves the truth. And by telling ourselves the truth, we look at security as a collective security agencies so that they can optimize and wipe out the security, as you say so. But of course, it is not easy. It is easier said than done, because we have to look at those factors that I earlier mentioned. Having a whole society of operation. When you are even talking about fighting insurgency and terrorism, you are putting it on 100%. The kinetic aspect of it is less than 40%. So that means the non-kinetic aspect of it should be, 60% or more. So who are those people that are doing 60%? The whole society has a role to play. But of course, the government has, to lead in terms of the president giving the strategic directives to the security agencies and giving the resources, and at the same time, enlightening the Nigerian society, empowering them in terms of education, security, education, and what have you. But beyond that, putting institutions and mechanisms in place so that they can contribute meaningfully. But then again, we have to look at the socio-economic well-being of an average Nigerian. So it borders on good governance also, so that Nigerians can have a greater sense of belonging and cultivate the pride. I mean, just like the former vice president was saying, that it's about time we should create a tribe called the Nigerian, devoid of those extraneous variables that are distracting us, ethnicity, religious sentiment, and a few. So with that sense of direction and not dabbling, mixing security issues with politics and what have you, I can rest assure you the new security chiefs will do marvelously well and they will deliver beyond expectation. But of course, we have to think of all those issues. And what I would rather say, I'm sure they know it, and that they are going to improve tremendously on interagency cooperation, collaboration, and coordination, because it seems as if under intelligence gathering and dissemination accordingly on the basis of need. I think those are the points that they need to improve upon. But beyond that, they need the overwhelming support and understanding, encouragement of the Nigerian society. And that is why even the media itself has a role to play. You see screaming headlines, President has sacked services without taking into cognizance this. People have put in over 30-something years of service. They have reached the maximum, rank required, and they have stayed 2 to 3, 4 years. So yes, he has a prerogative, but I think we should be able to encourage people, not, that you don't have to use a degradative word, because tomorrow the other person will also say, oh no, all the effort that we're doing, nobody's appreciating it. And that is where the public support comes into being. And that is why when you are even making comparison, Nigeria, despite the fact the level of development varies with, let's say, United States of America, what makes it tick? It is not even the weaponry, but the resilience of the Americans there is this sense of belonging about American dreams. So what is Nigeria's dream? Beyond we, the people, at the preambles of the Constitution, what else do we aspire to be? And what are those things that we are putting in place? And what are the sacrifices beyond the privileges that we enjoy as citizens? And of course, people in position of authority. If you have privileges, you have responsibilities and duties to perform. And by the time people are doing that, I believe it will make it much, much easier for the security chiefs to do the best they could and to reach that period, those years before the 2009 that you are talking about.
All right. General, let me stay with you before I come back to the studio. We know that the Super Tucanos that were bought under the last administration, Nigerians had the hope or the belief, or maybe the assumption, based on what they were told, that the moment those Super Tucanos were brought in, that because of the way they were designed specifically for certain things, that they were going to wipe out insecurity, terrorists and kidnapping, because of the capacity of the Super Tucanos. We have had the 12 Super Tucanos now for several years now, but we still have the same insecurity with us. As much as, although it's not as much as it used to be, but we still have them with us. Speak to us how we're supposed to have maybe deployed, or is there any shortfall somewhere? Let us understand.
Well, there are quite a number of factors. First and foremost, if we are even going to talk about the Super Tucano, and I still make reference to the fact that we have to look at the globalization and the international politics that goes on. Remember, before we were able to get the Super Tucanos, we had to go through a lot of conditions and, deprivation. In fact, some people are of the opinion that the price of the Super Tucanos were exorbitant. Remember, again, human rights conditions and so on and so forth were attached, and it took such a number of years. That is even one. Then secondly, we have the issue of human rights concerns. In this country, we had individuals that even reported the Nigerian government to the United States government and the United Nations and what have you. And so by the time you use such high caliber weapons on the citizen, and that is where, again, the third aspect of the problem it comes from. Bulk of the security challenges that we have are asymmetric. Asymmetric in the sense that the criminals turn to blend with the society. Take, for instance, the Boko Haram terrorists. Unless you see them carrying weapons, you sleep with them. And maybe at a certain point in time, they sleep and go and commit atrocities. Now they mingle with the society. And how can you incur such collateral damages? So, to the credit of the last administration, they had to designate the bandits and kidnappers as terrorists so that they can have the legal leverage to also attack them. But in most instances, you remember some time ago in in Niger State, there were allegations that some innocent people were killed, but that was not the only one. There were several other instances. So these are some of the things. You receive a distress call and you decide to, synchronize an aircraft only for you to go there. They are no longer there. You remember what happened in Nasarawa State. But actually, the information the military got was that, the Ansarudin faction of the Boko Haram were converging. And of course, they saw them through electronic monitoring system, but before you know it, something again happened. So these are some of the reasons. And that is why I talked about security education and empowering the people so that they can be able to report, instances of security breaches so that the military or the security forces can react. And of course, most importantly, is to equip those security forces so that they can react timely. So intelligence is equally key. So these are some of the problems that actually brought about the seemingly slow paces that we've been seeing. But I can assure you, they are doing very well. Not only the Super Tucanos, there are unmanned aerial vehicles here and there that help in reconnaissance and intelligence and directing the troops in dealing with this criminal element. But most importantly, the issue of human intelligence is equally very important. Giving timely and accurate information, and of course, collaborating with each other. Because now, again, and the fourth factor is the issue of good governance. Some of these areas are not easily accessible. So the infrastructural development are not even there. And my greatest fear now, the rainy season is there. It is very difficult for some of the equipment to, reach where these bandits and terrorists or criminal elements are, hiding.
Yes.
So these are the issues that combine to create, the environmental problem, the terror itself, and of course the attitude. And sometimes we had instances where you receive a distress call, you synchronize either patrol or whatever, only for them to be ambushed, because there is this issue of menace of informants that monitor the activities of our troops, our security forces, and disclose such criminal elements. And again, the fifth aspect is the issue, we still go back to the issue of good governance. Now, most of our youth are not employed. Almost, the total population of Nigeria, let's say 200 million, right? So almost 70% of that population, they are youth.
All right.
What extent have you made provision for the youth so that they will not be part of this criminal element? So,
all right,
these
General,
are some of the, and we neglected the traditional rulers and what have you, that they could form part of the solution to security challenges. So, the Kano and deployment of military and police sometimes may not necessarily solve these security challenges. We have to explore other options.
All right.